Imagine your best friend wants to text their ex-partner. You know this is a terrible idea, and it will probably cause even more problems. But how do you stop them without sounding bossy or mean? What do you say? You use 4 simple words. If I were you. It is one of the most common ways English speakers give advice, and today you are going to learn exactly how to use it naturally in everyday conversations. Hello everyone, welcome to the JISH Learn English Podcast. I am Shaylin, and I am happy to help you learn something useful today. Let's get started. When you say, if I were you, you are asking someone to imagine that you are in their situation. It is a very polite and friendly way to give advice. Instead of telling someone, do this or don't do that, which can sound a little harsh, you are simply sharing what you would do if you had their problem. It shows that you care about the other person's feelings, and it makes people much more willing to listen to you. Imagine your friend says, I have a big exam tomorrow, but I haven't studied at all. What could you say? You could say, if I were you, I would start studying right now. Notice how that sounds much friendlier than simply saying, go study. Think about how often we give advice in everyday life. Maybe your friend is nervous about an exam. Maybe your coworker is always tired because they stay up too late. Maybe your brother wants to spend all his money on something he does not really need. These are perfect situations for using if I were you. Instead of saying study more or go to bed earlier, you can say, if I were you, I would study a little every day. Or, if I were you, I would go to bed earlier. The advice is the same, but it sounds much kinder and more helpful. Now let us look at how to build this sentence. The good news is that it's very easy. It comes in 2 parts. The first part is always, if I were you. The second part uses I would and then an action. So the pattern is, if I were you, I would, and then you add your advice. You might notice something interesting. We say, if I were you, not if I was you. That may sound a little strange at first. In everyday conversation, some native speakers do say, if I was you. However, as English learners, it is best to learn and use if I were you, because this is the standard form we use for imaginary situations. After all, I can't actually become you, so we're imagining something that isn't real. That's why we say, if I were you. Let us see the pattern working in real life. Imagine your friend says, I want to learn English faster. You could answer, if I were you, I would practice a little every day. Or perhaps your coworker says, I only sleep 4 hours every night and I'm always tired. You could say, if I were you, I would go to bed earlier. These conversations happen every day, and this sentence pattern fits perfectly. Now let us go back to our friend who wants to text their ex-partner. You could say, if I were you, I would put the phone away. Maybe your friend is thinking about spending all their savings on something they don't really need. You could say, if I were you, I would save my money. Notice how natural and helpful these sentences sound. You are not giving orders. You are simply sharing what you would do in the same situation. But what if you want to tell someone not to do something? That's very easy too. We simply add not after would. In spoken English, we usually use the contraction wouldn't. Imagine your friend says, I feel terrible, but I still want to go to a crowded party tonight. You could say, if I were you, I wouldn't go tonight. Or maybe your brother says, I want to buy this expensive car, but I don't really have enough money. You could say, if I were you, I wouldn't buy that car. It's a great way to give a warning without sounding rude. Here's one more useful tip. Sometimes English speakers put the advice first and "if I were you" at the end. For example, instead of saying, "If I were you, I would ask the teacher for help," you can say, "I would ask the teacher for help if I were you." The meaning is exactly the same. Learning both versions will help your English sound much more natural and flexible. Before we finish, let's quickly review today's lesson. When you want to give friendly advice, use the pattern "if I were you, I would," and then add your advice. If you want to tell someone not to do something, simply use wouldn't. Remember, this pattern helps you sound polite because you are sharing your opinion, not giving an order. It's a simple sentence pattern, but it can make your English sound much more natural and confident in everyday conversations. Now I want you to practice. Imagine I'm drinking way too much coffee every day and I can't sleep at night. What advice would you give me? Write your answer in the comments below, starting with "if I were you, I would." I can't wait to read your answers. If you enjoyed today's lesson and learned something useful, please give this video a like and subscribe to the JISH Learn English Podcast for more practical English lessons. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I am Shaylin, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.